this is
call the meeting to the order. Just want to remind everyone, board member Dr. Chris Abaraka will be attending the board meeting online tonight due to a work obligation. May I have a motion and second?
So, second,
Thank you. Danielle, roll call, please. Present?
here,
Present.
board member Dr. Apodaca,
Here.
board member Mr. Beach,
Present.
board member Dr. Eugenio,
Here.
board member Dr. Rios. Thank you.
Chris, thank you. This evening, we will be discussing the following items in closed section: public employee discipline, dismissal, release, evaluation principal, middle school. Conference will label negotiator, update on negotiations with ABCFT, AFSCME, and CSEA. The third one is anticipate litigation, 2 matters. Now we're going to do public comment. Do we have any public comment on the closed section items?
We do not.
Thank you, sir. Now moving to the closed section, I have a motion and second.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
So our
Aye.
closing time. Thank you, Chris.
They can do contact tracing, and COVID test.
I have a motion for back to the open section. Motion and second.
So moved.
Daniel, put roll call for me, please.
Dr. Apodaca,
Here.
Mr. Beach,
Present.
Dr. Eugenio.
Here.
Mr. Nishii, Dr. Rios,
Present.
Mrs. Say,
Present.
Mrs. Yu. Motion passes 7-0.
We welcome public comment, and comments submitted will be presented during the public comment section, which is limited to 1 hour, and each speaker to the presentation of 5 minutes, unless the board wishes to waive the time limit. Those who have a group concern are encouraged to select a spokesperson to address the board. Comments submitted regarding a specific agenda item will be presented following the staff comment and prior to the board discussion and take action. The closed section tonight, the board discussed public employee discipline, dismissed, release, evaluation principal at middle school. Conference with labor negotiator, update on negotiation with ABCFT, AFSCME, and CSEA. The third one is anticipated litigation 2 matters. Okay. What may I ask our clerk, Mr. Nishii, leading us pledge allegiance tonight? Thank you, sir. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Cook, Mr. Nishii. Tonight presentation recognitions. Dr. Program recognition, Dr. Christine Babuna, as I say, Warris Elementary School Principal, Dr. Evelyn Hart, Willow Elementary School Principal, and Dr. Maida Lorenzo, Hawaiian Elementary School Principal. Dr. Su, please.
Thank you very much, President Say. I would like to welcome Dr. Christine Balbuena, Principal at Juarez Elementary School, Dr. Evelyn Ha, Willow Elementary School Principal, as well as Dr. Maida Lozano, Hawaiian Elementary Principal. Please congratulate them because they have worked so hard to get their doctorate degrees. And I'm so delighted to see them tonight as they share their experiences about what they did in order to accomplish this incredible task. Dr. Balbuena.
Hello. Good evening, President Say, Vice President Yu, Clerk Nishii, members of the board, Superintendent Dr. Mary Sue, and cabinet members. I want to thank you for inviting me to join tonight and for recognizing what I feel is not only one of the most challenging things I've ever done, but also one of the most fulfilling. I completed my doctorate program at the University of Laverne in the area of organizational leadership, and the focus of my dissertation was secondary traumatic stress. So for those who might not be as familiar with that term, secondary traumatic stress comes from learning about or being exposed to the trauma of others. And its symptoms are very similar to post-traumatic stress disorder, or as we know, PTSD. So from the research, we learned that those in helping professions who are exposed to the trauma of others are at risk of secondary traumatization. And there have been many studies involving nurses, doctors, emergency medical personnel, social workers, therapists, all professions that we know are exposed to others' trauma. But something we also know, especially through this pandemic, school personnel are exposed to trauma as well, particularly teachers. Surprisingly, however, there were very few studies involving teachers. So I wanted to explore the lived experiences of elementary teachers, particularly those who work in Title I schools, to gain a better understanding of the personal, behavioral, and environmental factors that influence the impact of secondary traumatic stress in their lives. Now, one novel finding from my study was that It's not only the knowledge of student trauma that contributes to secondary traumatic stress for teachers, but also knowledge of compounding stressors in the home. For example, teachers' perceptions of the effects of poverty on families. Things like that induce traumatic stress reactions for teachers. Teachers in the study also expressed a desired need for certain protocols and structures in schools as a way to mitigate the effects of secondary traumatic stress, particularly when onboarding students who we know are coming with trauma. Self-care, both personal and on an organizational level, were also findings that are consistent with other research as a means to mitigate STS. Now, I really could talk to you for 3 hours about trauma, but I won't do that. I do want to share one final finding that I found most interesting. 100% of the participants in the study shared that despite challenging circumstances, despite the symptoms of compassion fatigue and traumatic stress that they experience, they all find fulfillment in the work that they do. And it's that finding that gives me hope, because it really speaks to teacher self-efficacy and teacher resilience. So before I close, I want to thank Dr. Sue for encouraging me to pursue my doctorate. I know I didn't go to USC, but it was my it was my conversation with you that really helped me to find the courage to know that that was the right time for me to pursue my doctorate degree. I also want to thank the staff at Juarez Academy. I work with an amazing staff, and I appreciate their support and for them encouraging me and supporting me along the way. I'd like to thank Dr. Valencia Mayfield for always being a supportive mentor, for helping me to process my dissertation journey from time to time, and for loaning me my first APA book. That really came in handy. I want to thank my husband for his love and support, and for always being my biggest cheerleader. And lastly, I'd like to thank the two colleagues who you will meet next. They are exceptional women, exceptional leaders, and I feel blessed to have taken the journey with them. Thank you.
Congratulations, Dr. Balbuena. Next, we have Dr. Evelyn Ha, principal at Willow Elementary School.
Good evening, President Say, Vice President Yu, Clerk Nishi, board members, Dr. Sue, and cabinet members. Like Dr. Balbuena eloquently stated, I just want to thank you for this recognition of completing our doctoral program. I think these past 3 years have been a very interesting, unique experience of having to do a doctoral program during the pandemic, but it has been truly rewarding. I think it has definitely been one of tremendous personal growth and professional growth as well. Like Dr. Balbuena so eloquently stated, just in terms of thanks, there are so many people to thank, and I do want to thank the district for your encouragement and support as I pursued my doctorate degree. Definitely, I don't want to mention all of the names, but a lot of the leadership at the district level were very instrumental in encouraging me to really take part in this process. I also want to just, thank the amazing Willow staff as well. They have been my cheerleaders, constant support as I have gone through this journey, as we've gone through so many changes at school, just adding this doctorate program as one of them. They've been amazing and very supportive. I also just, in terms of my personal support system with family and friends, but I also do have to mention my two colleagues that you are hearing from tonight. Dr. Balbuena and Dr. Lozano that you will hear from. Just being able to do this program with them has been amazing. It has been an honor and privilege to be able to go through the University of Laverne doctoral program. Definitely, it has made it much more enriching and worthwhile than having to have done it alone. So I do echo Dr. Balbuena in saying, I know this is not USC, but University of Laverne, I do not regret making that decision. I know we have Dr. Zietlow, who's a former University of Laverne grad, so go ULV.
Oh.
With that being said, just a little bit about my dissertation as well. I was very fortunate to be able to really focus on two areas of passion that I've been able to develop these past 12 years I've been a principal. And those two areas being college and career readiness for elementary students, as well as effective principal leadership. And so in my study, I was able to forge those two, and I did a phenomenological study exploring the experiences of successful Title I elementary principals who use the AVID system to really close achievement gaps for their students at their Title I schools, especially at high poverty schools, and then really get them prepared for college and career readiness. And I think just in terms of the findings, of the research, main findings were that principal leadership is key. I think just being a principal myself of an AVID elementary school, being able to hear from other principals, their firsthand experiences of how they were able to utilize AVID, to really close those achievement gaps, it was very validating for me, as well as just new learning opportunities for me to continue my pursuit at my own site. A couple of the other findings were that it's never too early to start college and career readiness. And sometimes we often think that elementary might be too early, like what can you really learn about college? But really getting our students on that right trajectory about college and career and future readiness is going to be key for our students, especially in Title I schools. And I think probably one of the biggest findings that came from the research was that in order to close achievement gaps, we really have to close the opportunity gaps. And that is what these principals did, is they used the AVID system to really close those opportunity gaps so that we can see those achievement gaps close. So aside from, just the dissertation process, which is a huge part of the doctoral program, I think just learning about organizational leadership, learning about change leadership, and just being able to really reflect on myself as a leader, I think that has really just had a huge impact on my own leadership practices, not only as a site leader, but just also in just all of, different kinds of leadership opportunities that I'm able to engage in. So I'm very thankful to have gone through this process. I will admit at the very beginning, I wasn't so sure about doing this doctoral program, but I think definitely with the encouragement of my two colleagues here who are also on this call, as well as many of you at the district office, I definitely couldn't have done it without all of your support and encouragement. So again, thank you for just recognizing this achievement. And, I just look forward to continuing to use the knowledge that I've learned to be able to be a more effective leader. Thank you.
Congratulations, Dr. Evelyn Haas. And next we have Dr. Maida Lozano, principal at Hawaiian Elementary School.
Good evening, Madam President Say, Madam Vice President Yu, Mr. Nishii, Clerk of the Board members, Dr. Apodaca, Mr. Beach, Dr. Eugenio, Dr. Rios, Superintendent Dr. Su, members of the Cabinet and ABC community. It is my pleasure to join tonight, and I sincerely appreciate this recognition of a long-time dream that became a reality for me this August of 2021. I am a first-generation everything, first-generation college graduate. I'm an English language learner. I was raised by hardworking immigrant parents from humble beginnings. And when I was growing up, I dreamt of becoming a doctor one day, even though I knew there would be challenges along the way. And I wasn't sure really how that was going to happen. And what came true is that when we have a good system of support in our education system, these are not just things that happen once in a while, but these are things that can be accomplished. If someone looked at me growing up, they would have labeled me as a student at risk. And so for me, it was very important as I looked at my research to really understand that our students who may be socioeconomically disadvantaged, who are learning another language, are students at promise. And like I said, it was a long dream, and I definitely appreciate the support that I received from the district and the encouragement that has been present in my career over these past 23 years that I've been with ABC. Like my colleagues have mentioned, my family, of course, I couldn't have done it without them. And my two friends, have been just amazing at supporting this journey as well. The Hawaiian elementary staff was wonderful and supportive. And my hope is that my journey will continue to inspire our students to know that we are here to make their dreams a reality and that they can do it. My study was elementary teachers' perspective on how SEL, social emotional learning training, supports school outcomes for at-promise students. Many of you who know me know that I'm all about results. And so I did want to measure how the current training that we receive in California in SEL is having an impact, especially for those students that need it the most. And so interestingly enough, I can share some of my findings. So definitely SEL training has impacted positively teacher role and ownership. So their beliefs and mindset regarding how social and emotional learning can improve student outcomes. It has improved classroom environment and classroom management practices. It has improved quality of teacher-student relationships. And definitely it has improved student effort and participation. However, the study also showed that there are some areas of growth in the area of SEL training for teachers. Current SEL training did not diminish or address teacher deficit views. It did not directly strengthen teacher-parent relationships. And it did not accelerate academic progress. And by that, let me tell you, there is progress, but not at the acceleration level that we want to see, specifically within the context of Title I schools. My study focused on high poverty Title I schools. So the recommendations that were found through my study is that SEL training must include an equity lens. It must include sociocultural responsiveness and, of course, effective PD design elements. Once again, I would like to thank ABC for their support. Thank you all for this opportunity to present, and go Leopards, Laverne, yes.
Congratulations, Dr. Maida Lozano.
Congratulations first. I do have some board member make some comments, so please stay there. I have first, I'm sorry, go ahead, Mary.
Each
Dr.
of
Sue.
the doctorate degree winners will be receiving this wonderful congratulations, Dr. Balbuena, Dr. Hu, as well as Dr. Lozano. Congratulations, everyone.
Woohoo! I have our board member, Chris, Dr. Abadaka. We have three doctors here. So I have one on Dr. Chris Abadaka is going to make some comment on that. Chris, are you there? Are you ready?
I am. Thank you, Madam President. So many doctors, yet none of us can change a light bulb. I wanted to congratulate the three of you, and I wanted to say that this is a huge accomplishment. Despite all of my efforts to tell you not to do it, you did it, right? I can't imagine what it's like, not just meeting your familial obligations, your leadership site obligations, and then now with COVID and having to study and write your dissertation. You are three women to be looked up to, and to be admired, because you are a very strong example of lifelong learning, and particularly, not because I'm partial, but she is at Hawaiian Elementary School. To have Dr. Maida Lozano, be here in our community in Hawaiian Gardens to show children that last year had to call her Mrs. Lozano, will now be calling her, as the other two of you, addressing her as Dr. Lozano. And that's very important. That's very, very important to have not just do as I say, but in this case, you can do as I do, and excel for further higher education. And you're an inspiration to our staff, as well as I know to my colleagues here on the board. So I wanted to give you the most heartfelt and warm congratulations. Welcome to the club, doctors. And I look forward to, in a post-pandemic, hopefully very soon, post-pandemic world celebrating with the three of you. Congratulations.
I just want to congratulate three of you folks. And I noticed, Evelyn, Dr. Hua, you lost a lot of weight when I did a site visit. I said, wow, you changed it. Now I know why you lost so much weight, because you studied so hard. Congratulations to you all. I also want to say to Dr. Lozano, I want to say, I always like your happy faces. And every time we go there, you're full of energy with the kids. And you make a difference. You are the role model to those minority students. And I can see our board member, my colleague here, Dr. Rios, when I first met her, I said, oh, wow. She's so educated and so involved with the school. She got promoted to become a principal. We're so proud of her. And we also have Dr. Apodaca here too. And we have Dr. Eugenio here. So you know what? I want to share that with the Dr. Bobiona. My next goal is also want to get hopefully I can get doctor degree. And the topic actually is a PDSD. So I'll come to talk to you. You're my consultant, okay? But I want to again, congratulations. You are the role model for our district. And then thank you so much for all your hard work and dedication to our school district. And we love you. Cannot wait to see you more. Thank you. Anything else? I want to congratulations. Thank you for staying late with us. Okay, and next one is introductions. Dr. Rochelle Travis for SELPA as a director position. Dr. Sue, please.
Thank you so much, President Say. Dr. Rochelle Chavez has a bachelor's degree in human services and a master's degree in special education from Cal State University in Dominguez Hills, as well as a doctorate program in educational leadership from Cal State Fullerton. Additionally, she is a board certified behavior analyst, holds 2 special education teaching credentials and an administrative credential. Dr. Chavez has worked in the field of special education for 24 years. Her previous experience includes paraeducator, behavior specialist, special education teacher, program specialist, school principal, SELPA administrator, and assistant director of special education. She has recently served in our district as the director of pupil support services, special education for the past 4 years. Congratulations, Dr. Rochelle Chavez. Do you want to say a few words?
Thank you. Good evening, President Say, Vice President Yu, Clerk Nishii, board members, Dr. Apodaca, Mr. Beach, Dr. Eugenio, Dr. Rios, Superintendent Dr. Sue, and cabinet members. I appreciate this opportunity to serve ABC as the SELPA director. I can't tell you how proud I am to be part of the incredible academic services team led by Dr. Mayfield. Also, I could not take on such a demanding position without the support of my understanding husband, Andrew, my sons, Joseph and Vincent. And finally, I want to express my gratitude to my in-laws, Joe and Rosella, who support my family with transportation, childcare, and sometimes even homemade dinners. I couldn't do it without you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Chavez, for being our new SELPA director.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. My motion to approve agenda for the regular meeting of September 7, 2021. Motion and second. Thank you. Okay, Daniel, please roll call.
Dr. Apodaca,
Yes.
Mr. Beach,
Yes.
Dr. Eugenio,
Yes.
Mr. Nishi,
Yes.
Dr. Rios, Mrs. Say,
Yes.
Mrs. Yu. Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you. May I have a motion to approve the minutes for of the regular meeting of August 17, 2021?
So moved.
Danielle, please roll call.
Dr. Apodaca,
Yes.
Mr. Beach,
Yes.
Dr. Eugenio,
Yes.
Mr. Nishi,
Yes.
Dr. Rios, Mrs. Say,
Yes.
Mrs. Yu. Yes. Motion passes 7-0.
Next, superintendent report. Dr. Su, please.
Thank you very much, President Say. Since our last board meeting, I had a wonderful parent meeting with over 58 parents and guardians from Whitman Elementary School with Principal Miguel Marco. He led the meeting and wanted to make sure that they knew the best way to prepare for coming into school on August 23rd. He also held a meeting later in the evening to go over the protocols in place. I also met with Ernesto Marquez, the new city manager of the City of Hawaiian Gardens. We spoke about our continuing efforts to build our relationship together. On August 23, I visited 4 schools, including Artesia High School. At Artesia, I met with the president of American Federation of Teachers, Randy Weingarten. There, we spent time talking about our unique labor management partnership we have in our district. I went on to Bragg Elementary School with Principal Jeff Heilig. We visited many classrooms and noticed many special features on his campus. This included plexiglass on each desk, as well as new air purifiers, hand washing stations, and MERV 13 filters. I moved on to Elliott Elementary School with Principal Laura Ballard. There were many features located at Elliott that was noticeable at Bragg Elementary School. We visited a number of classrooms and especially enjoyed watching the students wear their masks indoors and outdoors. The last feature of the day was at Ferguson Elementary School with Principal Alex Gutierrez. We visited a number of classrooms and I enjoy visiting with students and their staff members. In the afternoon, I spent time at Arte's Cafe in Cerritos, where our Cerritos Artesia Rotary Club was held. The governor of the district was there to present to Brian Tom, who was blind, about the conditions he had to live through. We also recognized Lily Goa, who became a new member of the Cerritos Artesia Rotary Club. On Tuesday afternoon, I visited Haskell Middle School with Principal Valerie Gutierrez. We visited numerous classrooms, both indoors and outside. In the evening, I participated in the Kennedy Elementary School's virtual back to school night. This was designed for TK through K programs. I stayed in Ms. Bridwell's meeting. She is a product of our own district. I was delighted to stay in her classroom throughout the evening. On Wednesday, August the 25th, I participated in the Artesia Chamber of Commerce meeting. There were a number of special speakers and their questions were answered by the speakers. I will be presenting with Robert Kane, who was part of the trainers in the Masters in Governance program at the California School Boards Association's conference in December. We will have a panel of 5 people presenting on December the 2nd at the Convention Center in room 6DE. Our topic is improving student achievement without additional funding. We will also be presenting a virtual training related to the same topic at the CSBA conference on December the 9th in 2021. On August the 27th, I visited Tracy High School. The online independent studies program is operated by Ricardo Brown and Valentina Shibata. The elementary program is operated by Oliver Wang, a teacher at Carver Elementary School. He's currently the assistant principal of this program. The current enrollment is about 641 elementary and secondary students who are participating in this program each day. On August the 31st, I visited Aloha Elementary School with Principal Danielle Ponce. We visited many classrooms with features similar to those in our elementary schools. One of my favorite moments was a visit with Vicki Ferguson, who is now the new intervention specialist at Aloha. Every month, I visit with the Principal Pipeline Community Learning Institute. This is with superintendents from throughout the country. I participated on September the 1st with the leader, Ann Clark, a former superintendent in North Carolina. In the evening, I participated with Hawaiian Elementary School's virtual back to school night with Dr. Maida Lozano. They were holding it for 3rd and 4th grade students. I visited all the classrooms with the principal. I spoke in each classroom and enjoyed the visit very much. On September the 2nd, I visited at Whitney High School with Principal John Brickley. Mr. Brickley is the secondary Principal of the Year with AXA this year. He will be honored with an AXA award in November. We visited numerous classrooms and especially enjoyed Daryl David's classroom, where he is now the media specialist at Whitney High School. In the evening, I participated with Gonzalez Elementary School's virtual back to school night with Principal Robert Benko. I spoke with about 244 parents and guardians during the meeting. Principal Robert Benko led the meeting with important information that all parents and guardians need to learn about. On Friday evening, on September the 3rd, I visited Artesia High School's new football stadium and track field with Principal Sergio Garcia. There were many elected officials, including our own board members. They included Sophia Say, Clerk Ernie Nishii, board members Dr. Chris Apodaca, Brad Beach, and Dr. Olga Rios. Located officials included those from the city of Artesia, city of Cerritos, city of Hawaiian Gardens, and the city of Lakewood. The field looks outstanding with new synthetic grass, a new track field, and a scoreboard soon to come. That concludes my report, President Say.
Wow, Dr. Sue, what are we gonna do without you? I just want to publicly to made aware of that. Our superintendent really travel from school to school, not just only our district school, but also she goes outside the community or the organization. She visit them and she stays there, actually represent for our district. I want to thank you, Dr. Sue, for your hard work and dedicate all to us. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Next one is our employee representative report. I know we have our ABCFT president, Ray Gears, on the line. Do we have any other? No? Okay. So go ahead, Mr. Gear, the floor is yours. Welcome back.
Good evening, President Say, board trustees, Superintendent Dr. Sue, administrators, teachers, nurses, parents, students, and community members. My name is Ray Gare, and I'm president of the ABC Federation of Teachers. I wanted to thank you, Dr. Sue, for mentioning Randy Weingarten visiting Artesia High School on the first day of school. We were one of only 4 districts in the state of California to be visited in her 20-state support tour to supporting teachers and administrators and school districts across the country, welcoming kids back into the classroom. She's a really important ally because she advocates for funding for our schools. And it's great to have just the ability to have one-on-one conversations with her. And I really appreciate you, Dr. Sue, for being there that morning with her. It was a special day. I'm happy to report that teachers and students are getting settled as classes are being balanced and the impact of our online independent study program is addressed so that we can hire and move teachers to fit our enrollment. I would like to thank the principals of ABC for their execution of these changes with their staff. I've heard many examples of how principals show dignity when working with their staff to accommodate the many changes that have taken place at nearly every school site. There's a lot to be said about the treatment of dignity and how it can positively impact the morale of a school staff. Dignity is about understanding each other's work and honoring what they bring to the table. I believe that respect is the key to a 2-decade-long labor management partnership, and it's based on how we treat each other when dealing with problems and solutions. My only other comment tonight is to address the statewide concern that is also impacting ABC, and that is the lack of substitutes in the classroom and in our classified sectors. We do not address, if we don't address this factor, we will probably see a systematic breakdown in our school district and its ability to deliver academic instruction. ABC's lack of being able to recruit new personnel is an issue that will ultimately impact our students and their academic achievement. In the spring of this year, the ABC School Board did a fantastic job of addressing the need by temporarily increasing the subpay for substitute teachers so that we had an adequate substitute pool in the spring. Thank you for that. As a side note, the ABC Federation of Teachers doesn't represent substitute teachers, but the quality and quantity of substitute teachers does have a direct impact on the academics of our students and their learning environment. We always need reliable and knowledgeable substitutes. Gone are the days of the notion that a warm body can do the trick. The quality of our substitutes are not lost on our students because they know when an adult does not know what they're doing in the classroom. They deserve the best. So here's my ask for tonight. Please support our principals and our teachers by looking at new ways to get more substitutes because we're down 40% in our substitute pool this year. And in this pandemic, we are competing with every district around us. Your support as a school board for this situation is critical. Substitute teachers don't just sub in one district. No, for the most part, they go to whichever school district pays the most. So that with our current sub pay, substitute teachers are leaving the district to go to other districts. If we don't have enough subs in our district, it is just a matter of time before our principals are no longer doing their jobs as administrators because they're scrambling to be in classes to act as a substitute. In fact, one day last week, I was aware that 4 elementary principals were covering classes because they didn't have enough subs. This is a terrible use of resources in a time when every district has specific pandemic funding to offset these operating costs. I know that the ABC has already had to cancel important curriculum trainings for teachers this year. And without these trainings, it'll definitely have an impact on our student academic progress. Whichever district can secure the most substitute teachers will win this year. This year is about competing with other districts for personnel to stay in the game. And I believe that ABC needs to fight to stay at the top of the rankings. Lastly, tonight you will hear from a nurse representative or two. They're speaking because they've been working excessively for the last 18 months, like every one of us, but as a frontline worker. And they've been working with the constant changing needs that are caused by COVID. There are never enough nurses, but they also need additional help this year to cover the increased demand and the constant need to do contact tracing. I know that the administration has been recently meeting with the nurses and is making moves to accommodate their needs. Thank you for that. But I also think that as a board, you need to hear exactly what's happening in our schools right now and how our frontline nurses are stretched to the brink. This year, we already have surpassed the number of COVID cases we had for the entire last school year, and the numbers are still climbing. Our ABC nurses and administrators are holding the line and doing their best to juggle the many cases. Just take a look at the ABC COVID dashboard for a week and you can see that this is no normal school year. My message is clear to the board trustees tonight. Please ensure that this district can recruit and retain new personnel to help us get through this school year so we can maintain our students' learning environments so they can continue working towards their futures. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, ABCFT President, Mr. Gear, and just want to let you know, board aware of there's a shortage and we are working closely with the administrative staff. Thank you. And please let the staff be aware that we acknowledge that, and I want to thank you, be patient with us. This is, like you said, a statewide shortage there, and we are doing our best we can.
Thank you,
Thank you.
President Say.
Okay, thank you. Next one. Do we have any other employee representative? No, no, okay. So I will be my presentation. I made a PowerPoint because I know Dr. Sue had visited so much in time. I try to compete with her. So my commitment with her is I want to show what district had done the best we can to provide the safe area for our children and the staff to come back. And so I would like to, Josie, can you help me? Oh, great, thank you. So this is my report, okay? I like to start with the COVID-19, what we had done once the COVID exposed to the United States. The district had to provide a site for the public. First, we have a curative, and still up to now, we're still using that for testing. And either you make appointment or you can just walk in. And we still have that at the Cerritos High School. And during the COVID time and the government starting Pfizer, Moderna coming out, the vaccine, and we're working with County Supervisor Janice Hong and with her field representative, Ms. Linda Johnson, and we work with the Hawaiian Garden counselor, and we use the church, and we also use our facility to provide the vaccine. And we also use other high school for the children age over 12. And we have accomplished a lot of students. So we also, during the time, we also provide a free, let me see if I use a pointer. We also provide a free lunch, the district, during the summer and even before that. And I was volunteer there serving the food to the needs people. So that's another thing during the COVID, before the in-person education, Ernie, our clerk, and I, we started walking this, go to school, check and see how school prepared during the COVID. And then after, we'll provide some donuts to visit our teacher. And this is come from our own budget, not from the district budget, just want to let everyone know. I also went to the site visit, the vaccine site, make sure everything's safe and make sure we cover as much as we can for our district or our community members. And I also work with as you can see the pictures here, Mary, Dr. Sue, and our PR director, Mr. Smith. I also get the local people donated 20,000 masks to our district prepared. When that was the last year, I believe January, right at the time when the exposure starting affect our community, and we get the very nice, our neighbors support that. So what does the change help keep our students and staff safe? And I want to thank to our staff for your hard work and working with me. What we did is to make some changes here. We're starting with as you can see, there's my pointer here. The picture doesn't, okay, right there. As you can see, the improvement that we have is right during the COVID, and we made the changes. We have either hand touch, and we also have a few sensor sanitizers in our district. So I'm thankful for my board. We work together. We say, hey, we want individual. We want just like the hospital, hand-free. So without anything, well, because when the kids' hands dirty, they touch it here, they clean it, they might not clean well. So it could be carried the COVID or to the other. So we try to avoid that. So entire district that we have with hand-free sanitizer. And this is the things we want to do the best we can for the staff and the children. Okay. What else we do are the safety precautions. I do want to mention about COVID since I am a nurse working in a hospital. When I do the hospital, I do want to let the public know this is what we do. How do we protect the COVID-19? This is for a patient actually have COVID. The two things we have to do, number one is contact precautions. And number two is airborne for COVID patient. If they're really sick, we do droplet. So what is this, our district does? We do almost same as a hospital. So we have the science. I'm sorry, some people say, did you report it to the staff? Do you report it to the board? No, we take day by day. What is the best interest at that moment? We gotta act immediately. So immediate action was hand-free, the water, we already have there ready, except they can't drink by mouth, how the public thing, you push the button. And we have, thank you, our Vice President, Mr. Yu, recommend this the water, the clean water by sensor touching, and they can collect the water as much as they can drink. We encourage kids to drink the water. Then we also here, I don't know how much you can see, when the first 2 days when school started, we're trying to keep in 3 feet. Most of the teacher will stay outside, what I saw. They will stay outside, maintain the 3 feet, and explain to them when the first day, 2 days come back, tell them what is a new regulation, tell them how we can protect them. And I want to thank you. It wasn't easy when they light up. They want to make sure every student hear what our school new regulation here. And we also have plastic glass as a divider. The reason we want to do it, this is a quick decision. We made a decision on this because most of our school, and for some school areas, one table for 2 students together. What we do, just like what we have here, only kind of halfway, not completely. Cover them, so prevent the contact. We also contact precaution, airborne precaution, plus we also do the droplet. So this is what we do practicing right now is the precautions. And this is exactly what hospital using it. I brought it back in here to share with the people. I made it laminated. This is what we do called contact airborne droplet precaution for COVID patient. We don't know what we get. You know, when I teach you my neonatal intensive care unit, the nurse, I told you guys are lucky because you know exactly what you get because all the kids are high risk. But when you work in regular nursing, you don't know what you get. And this is what happened to our district. We don't know what we get. Some kids may bring it positive COVID-19, but they have no symptoms that they didn't know. So we are at the risk. So our school district trying the best we can to provide the best service to all. So what does in-person education cost? Start an outdoor thing. As you can see, I have a teacher right there. She keep the finger up, both hands up. She want to tell the kids that, you know, trying to have a little distance. It's hard for teacher right now because you know what? Kids being off, stay home all the time. It's really hard to have them come back, sit still in the classroom outside the control. The teacher have to constantly remind the student, and we need the parent help. Then we also have one of, I think the second picture, as you can see, is a spray, a disinfectant spray we're using indoor, outdoor when kids not there to maintain the room sterilized. And then we have, as you can see, we also create another hand-free sanitizer right and outside school entry. So we want to protect not just our children, our staff, but also outside visitor here. And the last is the water. And we'll come back. Now, how do I know it's safe for the students to go back to classroom? Thank the staff, they will make a sign there telling our room is clean by our coworker. The sign's right there. Actually, let me go back to my notes in here. This is my visit, and I want to make sure I check it. It's like a check mark, everything I say. Is it safe or not safe? It says right here, the room has been sanitized. Okay, and then we'll also have an emergency washer. And the last part I really like, I talked to the technician. When I spoke to him, I asked him, what is our air, how's our air condition? How's the pressure? You know, this is what he said. Normally, every 3 months, we do maintenance checkup, but for this one, they do a lot frequently. And normally we maintain about 50% the clean air, but now we go to heating 100% the clean air, which is, we do the best to provide the best, the airflow. And then we also have air purifier. And I look at that, I talked to one of the teachers, she said, oh, we're so worried about this. And so after we explained this to her, she said, you know what? I can keep my doors closed if I want to, because everything we provide is the best practice for our students. Air control, we also have an air purifier here. Okay. I want a parent to understand, we do the best we can for the teacher and the student. Your kids, I can't say 100% safe, but we are hitting the 100% we can. And my last report is welcome back, and we make a staff and feel really good. You know, as you can see, the school tried the best to welcome the teacher and the student back. We had a balloon there for school. Some school has balloons, some has a signs in there. You know, kids are happy. The neighbors happy too. I talked to some neighbor with senior citizens, people that are around there, right next to the school. You know what they said to me? Oh, we miss the kids. I said, you're not afraid of a traffic? She said, oh, at that part, I don't like it, but we miss the kids. This is how the neighbor talk. And during the visit, I also went to talk to neighbors to see how they feel. And I had one parent talking about the signs at Leo School as too bright, facing directed to the house. And I went to it is true though, right next to it. And I went to talk to them. They said they would change the regular hours. They will. Our staff's willing to work with the neighbor. And then as you can see, Artesia High School, the locker, they repainted and facing the floor is so beautiful. I went in the classroom too, nice and clean. I wear my white pants. I want to see how clean it is. When I stood up, it was clean. It wasn't dirty. But there's some improvement at Artesia High, I realized during my visit. Artesia does need a new locker for the sports students, because we do, and we also meet the needs. We have more students there. So that's the one thing I like to let staff know, we need to improve on that locker for the sports. And so the first week traffic back to the traffic is really bad. Also take a picture of the traffic. As you can see, I don't know how much you can see here. The traffic is holding back 2 blocks. And I was right behind the van. I was thinking, I better move because they blocked me. I can't go. Mine's right there, the car right there. It's really hard. But I want to thank you to our community members. Thank you, you're supporting us. But then we do cause some issue with the parent. We're trying to talk to parent. All the principal trying to talk to parents, trying not to block the major road and trying not to block in the people's driveway. And we need the parent to help us on this matter. And the welcome back also, not just welcome me back, as you can see the big sign for me, welcome President Sophia said, and save a spot for me, I really appreciate it. We also, because a lot of kindergartens are back to school, and the second pictures right there, where did I punch? I think we need a battery change. And the second one, if you can see the parents stay right by the fence, our school teacher and the principal trying to make easy for those kids starting a separation, the separation away from parents. The kids was crying. And I got hired by Leo. PA told me you can be hired because the kids was crying, didn't know what to do. After I find out that was his birthday, and I say, so I joined the classroom. I start singing the song for the kids. Everybody welcome him, and then happy birthday to him. He was excited. And towards the end, I went back again. I said, do you like the school now? He said, yes, I want to come back. And parents out there trying to talk to students. And the third picture that was, the third picture, actually, I really want to tell the public, what we did, we not just provide, you see the purple things right there, it's the third pictures. The purple little bag is actually, we give it to the student for free. They have their own supply, pencil, eraser, so that we don't want them to share. And that's a free from us. And each student will receiving a pack like this with pen and with other thing from the mental health. Tell the parent and tell the kid take it home to share with the parent. If they have any issue, they can contact us as whatever they need. That was very nice. I was working with the PTA. They over a couple of days, they make the packaging. Every student, every school had this package. So on the top, so you can see Ricardo, the Cerrito High School. I mean, not Cerrito, God High School. And because I made a big mistake, I went to Artesia first, Artesia High School. So Ricardo said, how come you went to visit Artesia, then you come to God High? I said, you know what? I have to pay respect my board member, Dr. Abadaka and Dr. Rios. Their school site is over Hawaiian Garden area. So I decided, I haven't been there for a while. So I choose that first. So, but I promised Ricardo I'll take pictures here. And Ricardo will stay outside, welcome, greeting all the students coming back to school. And also, and you can see the middle picture, the fourth picture there actually is a nurse greeting the special needs child at the bus stop. The last part is the food they have that day. The first day, actually, I was at Tisha High. Ray, I want to let you know, I was at Tisha. I missed Randy. I was there after, she left. So we have food here, and the first day food was delicious. I tasted corn dog, grilled cheese. Oh, they're fantastic. They're warm, not too hot, perfect temperature for the kids. And unfortunately, on that day, Mary Bragg was running a short staff. Nutrition staff wasn't there. So, well, I think I have a time because my school wasn't start, so I stayed there, help. And we helped them to serve the food to the kids. And I want to thank the principal because it's short staff. So he replaced the nutrition on that day. I really appreciate his hardworking. So the highlight, like Dr. Su mentioned about the Artesia grand ribbon cutting ceremony, which is on September 3rd. And I met the student, he's the tallest one, his name is Kalen. And everybody said he played real good soccer. I don't know how much you can see the picture. And I want to thank you to all the elected officials come to support us. And I also want to thank you, my colleague, to be there to support the ceremony ribbon cutting. And you can see some pictures of me. They asked me, come over here. I say, what? They said, oh, I want to put the legs on, leg or feet on the top of the students' legs. I said, no, I can't. I'm so heavy. And they said, don't worry, we can handle it. So I did. I'm sorry, but I was so scared, I was shaking it. But it was a fun. One thing I do want to say, thank you for all people's support. It wasn't easy, but the picture has shown. Dr. Su had visited them, and I showed the picture what we're trying to do to the public. We are focused on student staff safety. That's our district number one goal. And we also provide the best sports area for the kids to enjoying it. It's so beautiful. I want to thank you, the BB, the Metro BB. And the last part, I really wanted to the public, no finger points, work together. Let's heal together. COVID is here with us, but we got to handle hands on it. We need to overcome this COVID. Okay, last one, I want to shout out to the board from our board here. From our board, I want to say to the students, okay, I want to say thank you to come back and we are glad to see you. And I want to the parents, thank you for being willing to bring your child back to the school and we love to see them back. As for the all ABC staff, thank you all for working countless hours and facing the COVID. Like hospital nurse, you are the heroes. I want to let the staff hear that. For the administration part, no one knows what you do, but our board is aware of your dedication to the student, parents, and the staff. And we want to say thank you to you all and the family and our district parents and students. And that will be my end report. I know it take a little while, I'm sorry, but I thought this is very important to let public know that what we had done, and this is what I also visit school to school. I mean, less than Dr. Su, but I'm doing my best. And I know my colleague also went to the school. I know Bear has been down to quite a few schools, and Dr. Eugenio, and also Clerk Nishi, and other board members too, Dr. Abadaka and Dr. Rios, and our vice president also trying to solve a lot of issues during the COVID. But I want to thank you, my colleague, and also want to especially thank you to Administrator. You did the wonderful job. And I really, another person I like to mention is Mr. Smith, our PR director, and he goes everywhere. And thank you for your dedication to our district. Thank you very much. So next one's a public comment. I want to leave that to the clerk, Nishi.
Yes, persons wishing to address the board should provide public comments during the public comments section via the following method: myabcusd.org/board meeting, and use the link or phone number to participate in the Zoom meeting. If using Zoom, please use the raise your right hand function during the public comments portion of the agenda or during the public comments time after an agenda item. If you're using a phone, please use *9 to raise your hand during the public comments portion of the agenda or during the public comments time after an agenda item. Then use *6 to unmute yourself when you're called upon to speak. Mr. Smith will be doing that. Comments will be presented during the public comments section, which is limited to 1 hour, and each speaker to one presentation of 5 minutes unless the board wishes to waive that time limit. Those who have a group concern are encouraged to select a spokesperson to address the board. Comments submitted regarding a specific agenda item will be presented following the staff comments and prior to the board's discussion and taking action. Adverse remarks regarding person's race, ancestry, ethnic group identification, religion, color, national origin, sex, sexual orientation, gender, mental, or physical capacity, or age may not be made. Concerns presented to the board will be followed up and addressed by the appropriate staff. Do we have any public comments?
We do, Mr. Clerk. The first public comment will be from Patty DuPont Tyler.
I want to reminds people that we have 1 hour for this public comment. So we need to manage our time well. Thank you.
Thank you, Patty. It won't allow you to talk because you are using an older version. I'm going to go to the next public speaker, Dr. Joanna McManus.
Hello, can everyone hear me?
We can.
Okay, hi. Good evening, ABC families, community administrators, and board members. My name is Dr. Joanna McManus. I am a proud parent of 2 elementary school children, but I am also an ABC school nurse and the union representative for the nurses. I know a couple of my colleagues will be speaking tonight, so I wanted to address you on the perspective as a parent and school nurse. I am currently assigned to 3 schools, 2 elementary and 1 high school. Being only a 70% nurse, I only work 3.5 days per week. That means I am at each of my sites only 1 full day each week. As a parent, this lack of nursing availability does not sit well, knowing the importance of health and safety during these uncertain times. School nurses began the school year on Thursday, August 19. These 2 extra days prior to the students returning still did not afford the time needed to prepare the nurses for the upcoming weeks. but my situation was unique. Unfortunately, my family got COVID. Why am I telling you this? Twofold: to illustrate that COVID can still get any person despite being cautious, and to show it is not a stigma or a scarlet letter to be worn. The community should be uplifting our families that have been stricken with this horrible illness. We need education, communication, and accessibility. Within a 2-week span, one by one, 6 family members converted from negative to positive with serial tests, with me being the last. Although all those that could be vaccinated were vaccinated, this Delta variant spared no one. My elderly father had to be admitted to the hospital. Thankfully, he was only in the hospital 2 nights, but when he returned home, I had to help him in his recovery, at the same time keeping distant. Taking care of my son, my husband, my daughter, and brother the weekend right before the school year began was stressful. How am I supposed to take care of my family and begin work? This school year began and my family was on the mend, while I ultimately declined. Fortunately, I was given a leave of absence due to my family situation, and I never stepped foot on any campus per public health guidelines, but I continued to receive emails and phone calls. Here I am, coughing, on and off pain, fever, chills, still trying to help my schools, my students, and my family. I could have just not answer anything or ignore everything, but how can I ethically do nothing? I was torn as a mother, a nurse, and as a sick patient. I can read and hear my colleagues trying to cope and organize with all the families returning and answering questions about COVID and when to test, when to return, why are the kids not wearing masks in the playground, etc. The health services team was down 2.5 nurses at the beginning of the school year. That means only 11 nurses covered 30 different school sites across 18,000 enrolled students. Do you know the nursing ratio in the hospital? At most, 1 nurse to 6 patients. Despite being sick, those days and nights that I felt I would answer staff questions and parents' concerns. Should I have? Or should I have just thrown my hands up in the air, wiped my hands clean, and let my own colleagues attempt to assist my own school sites, all the while they take care of their sites? I didn't do that. I helped in any way possible despite my limited capacity. Our nurses have been working early, staying late, and have yet to put a dent on their school nurse duties. We are not in the nurse's office waiting to just put bandages or give ice. Who is taking care of the school medications? Who is covering the diabetics and administering insulin? Who can train on G-tube fittings and trachs? Who is making the care plans for our special needs students to care for while on school grounds? Do our parents really know that the nurses may not be available if their child is in an emergent need? As a parent, I'm on several different social media groups that serve to help families during this time. Have you been on social media? I read all the concerns and fears of parents, and I try and give as much science-based research answers and those endorsed by the LA County Public Health Department. But parents want more for their children. And as a parent, we need more. In the news, I have read neighboring school districts that are hiring more nurses to deal exclusively with COVID. These are extra nurses, not their current school nurse staff. Why, as a parent, are my children and family not getting the same nursing attention and care as other districts? Tomorrow will be my official day back from isolation. Those that are knowledgeable about the illness know that this is a long haul to full recovery. Although I still have occasional pain and residual coughing, I am not contagious. But the expectation for me to return to work for my staff and students by contact tracing, calling parents, doing medications is daunting and scary, let alone wrapping my head around what must be done, what is done, and what needs to be done. My already taxed body will have to endure a chaotic work week where I'm expected to start running a marathon where I can barely climb a flight of stairs without becoming winded. This is not fair to our families or to our nurses. We all deserve more. We deserve better. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next speaker will be, go ahead, Patty DuPont-Tyler. Go ahead and unmute.
Thank you. Can you hear me okay?
We can.
Thank you. Good evening, ABC community. My name is Patty DuPont-Tyler, and I've been head of health services here at ABC for roughly 1.5 years. I've had the great privilege of serving as a school nurse for ABC for 21 years. Through the years, people who have held my seat, as well as nurses in the trenches, have been sounding the warning bell, requesting, nay, begging that the district hire more credentialed school nurses. Through the years, we have seen a rise in chronic illnesses among our students. Every year, we nurses must attend to more diabetic students, both type 1 and type 2, more students with severe allergies, more students with seizure disorders, more asthmatics, more students dealing with the consequences of obesity, students requiring G-tube feedings, students requiring suctioning and diapering. And let's not forget the garden variety mental health issues that plague our students and have grown in numbers over the years. Issues such as ADHD, bipolar disorder, eating disorders, suicidality, the ever-increasing depression and anxiety. These mental health issues not only affect our students' mental health, but their behavior and their overall health. Throw a pandemic into the mix, and now we have a catalyst that takes an extremely volatile situation into an unimaginable potential catastrophe. Trust me, I do not speak in hyperbole. What has prevented any major incident is the fact that there is a highly trained and dedicated group of nurses who love their students and who happen to be great at putting out fires. But this cannot be sustained. I haven't even touched upon the so many other duties of the school nurse, and I won't go into this for lack of time. What I will speak of is how COVID has added yet another layer to the already overflowing platters, not plates, of our nurses. Because we are nurses, naturally our colleagues and the community turn to us for assistance in navigating this very difficult time in history for everyone. Though highly trained and extremely dedicated and caring, your nurses cannot safely keep up the pace. They are human after all. In years past, when we have brought these issues to the attention of those in charge, we have been compared to other districts. May I suggest that this has been an exercise in comparing apples to oranges? But in all fairness, over the years, the district has made moves to try to address pressing issues of safely attending to the needs of our student. Our district has contracted with an LVN agency to assist during lunch with the needs of diabetic students. For this, we are grateful. More recently, we have been able to have a pool of RNs to help cover the diabetic students as well as other general nursing tasks. For this, we are immensely grateful. We have been granted hourly pay for the extra time we have been spending with COVID-related issues during evenings and weekends. For this, we're grateful. But the best decision the district has ever made has been to hire credentialed school nurse to attend to the health needs of our students. And at this point, an expansion of this most excellent decision is what is required. The other supportive measures I mentioned are very helpful and greatly appreciated, but they are temporary fixes to a growing problem. Not to mention, the temporary helpers, because of the nature of how they intervene, do not establish a lasting relationship with students, which is essential in providing the best and safest care.
1 minute.
We have been clamoring for additional support for decades, not because we do not want to do the work or because we do not understand the delicate state of hiring enough staff and maintaining a balanced budget, but because we nurses care so deeply for our students. We strongly request that you please invest in their safety and well-being wisely by hiring more credentialed school nurses, preferably 1 per school and 2 at each high school. I'd like to thank colleagues, students, parents, and community members who have supported school nurses. Please continue to support us for the sake of our students. Board members, thank you for your time and consideration in this very important matter.
Thank you, Patty. The next speaker is L. McCants. Go ahead and unmute.
Good evening, board members, superintendent, Dr. Mary Lou, and ABC community. Can you hear me?
We can.
Perfect. I'm a parent of a freshman at Cerritos High School. Since the beginning of school, most of the PE teachers have not been wearing their masks indoors with the students. According to the California Department of Health Code, COVID-19 Public Health Guidance for K through 12 Schools of California, 2021 to 22 school year, under Mask 1B, it states adults in K through 12 school settings are required to mask when sharing indoor spaces with students. As you know, this is to help prevent the spread of COVID, to help maintain a safe environment for our children. We contacted the principal, assistant principal, and principal of the school. We were given an apology and assured this wouldn't happen again. Today being the first day of the third week and 7 days after we spoke with the principal, the PE teachers are continuing to not wear their masks indoors. Districts have a duty to keep their students safe from this negligent conduct. What consequences can be placed on these instructors if they don't follow this simple rule? The fact that the PE teachers and administration are not following or enforcing this needed rule makes me nervous about the safety of my child. I find it very irresponsible for the faculty and administration to ignore the state mandates when it comes to the safety of our children. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. The next speaker is Karina Saucedo.
Hello, thank you. My name is Karina Saucedo, and I am the parent of 2 children in a Spanish dual immersion program within the district. I am calling in today for a few reasons. First, I want to request further clarification on an item that was voted on by the board at the last meeting. It is my understanding that board members voted to allow children that are in independent studies this year to return to the schools or programs that they were accepted into next school year. It was not specified that any group of children would be exempt from this decision. In actuality, the board went as far as to specifically write in Whitney High School, as they have their own rigorous process for admissions. So imagine my surprise when the principal at my children's school doubled down, stating that children will only be accepted back into the Spanish dual immersion program at Mimas Elementary if there is space and if they are able to test back in, which would consist of mastering Spanish at an appropriate grade level. Currently, there is no Spanish language instruction time or tutoring provided to dual immersion kids in independent studies, yet somehow they're expected to excel in the language to the next grade level by next year. The current number of dual immersion kids in independent studies is very small. However, this consideration could potentially affect what would equate to one entire elementary school within the district. Again, I bring to your attention that there are 2 elementary schools, K through 6, within ABC in which half of the students are in dual immersion. I have been told by numerous parents that they are concerned about what might happen to their kids and these programs if they end up having to be in extended quarantine and needing independent studies. This can easily happen in homes with multiple children. There are 2 Spanish dual immersion programs at ABC elementary schools. Both are heavily Latino populated neighborhoods, and both serve large numbers of families in which English is their second language. Just prior to March 16th, 2020, I attended the last in-person DLAC meeting that the district offered. There, I learned that the district receives additional monies to provide support to English learners. My children are English learners, as well as many other children that are served at these schools. These parents may not have the ability to call in or speak out on behalf of their children, and so I am committing myself to continue to call in and be a voice for these families. Not offering adequate Spanish language support to these children is exclusionary and discriminatory, and it is not acceptable. I hope that some of you are sympathetic of the concerns that I am raising on behalf of my family and on behalf of other ABC families. The board acknowledged that many families are making potential life or death decisions when it comes to sending children back in-person learning or using independent studies. None of us want to keep our children at home. I would love nothing more than to have them at home. Unfortunately, right now for my family and for other families, it's just not possible. In closing, I want to thank everyone on the board, as well as Dr. Sue, for hearing me out. I want to thank you for the consistent support of language programs throughout the district. This is evident in your votes to continue Japanese studies, as well as introducing American Sign Language to your schools. I look forward to you as a board providing support for these children in their pursuit of expanding their mastery of the Spanish language. I myself as a professional has been able to use Spanish language. I'm a nurse, and it helps me just communicate and help so many more people. And in you providing support to these children that are mastering the language, you are giving back to the communities, right? You are empowering them. And I hope that you find it within yourselves to support them. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That concludes this agenda item.
Thank you. So next one is, may I have a motion to approve the consent calendar?
So moved, Apodaca.
Thank you. So is anyone who wishes to remove any item to be considered separately? Hear none. Daniel, please roll call for me, please.
Can I have a second? I didn't get a second.
Oh, I have a
Thanks.
second already. First was Dr. Apodaca and second, Dr. Hino.
Thank you. I didn't hear. Dr. Apodaca,
Yes.
Mr. Beach,
Yes.
Dr. Eugenio,
Yes.
Mr. Nishi,
Yes.
Dr. Rios, Mrs. Say,
Yes?
Mrs. Yu. Motion passes 7-0.
So next one is action item 1.1-8. May I have a motion to approve the request to adopt the following Gar High School Career Technical Education textbook titled Principle of Athletic Training, and it's called A Guide to Evidence-Based Clinical Practice for Grade 9 to 12.
So moved, Apodaca.
Second, Beach.
Thank you. Anyone wish to make a public comment on this agenda item, please use the raise your hand feature on Zoom at this time. Do we have any public comments?
We do not.
Do you have any discussion from our board? Seeing none, Daniel, please roll call.
Dr. Apodaca,
Yes.
Mr. Beach,
Yes.
Dr. Eugenio,
Yes.
Mr. Nishi,
Yes.
Dr. Rios, Mrs. Say,
Yes?
Mrs. Yu. Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you. Next one, 4.3-8. I have a motion to approve 2020 to 2021 unaudited actual financial report. Thank you. I need a second.
Nishi, second.
Thank you. And Mr. Yun.
Thank you, Madam President. Good evening. So annually, the board on or before September 15 must approve a report called the unaudited actuals. So what this report is all your revenues and expenditures for last year. For the fiscal year 2020, 2021, which began on July 1st, 2020, go through June 30th, 2021. So the accounting for this is required by the state as an unaudited actuals, meaning that this information has not been audited yet. Once you approve this report, it will be sent to the county of LACO, Los Angeles Office of Education, and then it will be forwarded to the state of California. And then our independent external auditor will come in and audit this report and the records and the books to ensure that they are in compliance with all state and federal guidelines. And they will report back to the board in an audit report that the board will receive usually in January of every year. So that is the next step after this. So tonight I will be reporting to you our revenues and expenditure for the 2020-21 school year. So last year, the total revenues for the district was $264.9 million in the general fund. This is on page 61 of your report. So within the general funds, as you know, there are two components, right? The unrestricted and the restricted. Unrestricted funds, the board have full control of how to spend the money. Restricted programs are funds that comes with strings attached. They are restricted by nature by the grantor. The federal government and the state government or local agency will tell us how to use the funds. Therefore, it's restricted. So for last year, total unrestricted revenues was $198.5 million. Total restricted revenues was $66.4 million. Again, for a total of 264.9. So that's on the revenue side of the ledger. On the expenditure side, we spent a total of $242.5 million. So as you can see, that is about $22.3 million less than revenues. With the transfer out of about 3.2, that's bring a net increase in the fund balance of $19.2 million. So that's basically a net increase in your fund balance or a positive to that account. But most of that is restricted. This is because of all the federal and state grants that you have heard, whether it's the ESSER funds or the expanded learning opportunity grants. These are the money that we receive that must be spent out in future years. The increase in the unrestricted fund though is about $3.7 million. So mostly that belongs to the schools. They have a large carryover where they did not spend all their funds and that they will be spending them down this year to service the students. So at the bottom line, if you want to go to the bottom line, then the ending fund balance for ABC for the general fund is $53.9 million. This is the money you have in the bank. This is your ending fund balance, your saving account, if you will. However, 29 million of that is restricted and about 24.9 is unrestricted. So the 29 million is restricted. It has to be spent in accordance with the grants. The board have full control of the 24.8 million. So that's that. The next page, page 72, is a recap of the information I just shared in a summary form. But I want to point to where it says in the middle of the page, where it says reservation and designations. Under item A, prior year carryover, that is the money belongs to the schools. So that's why you see an increase in the unrestricted fund balance, about $3.8 million unrestricted and about $960,000 unrestricted, for a total of $4.8 million just carry over at our schools, and it will stay there for the schools to spend on students this year. So in summary, last year, we closed the books in the positive with an increase of about $19 million to the fund balance to bring the total fund balance to about $53.9 million. Again, 29 of which is restricted. That is the end of my report.
Thank you, Mr. Roy. Anyone wishing to make public comment on this agenda item, please use the raise your hand feature on Zoom at this time. Do we have any public comment?
We do not, Madam President.
Any discussion from my colleague here? Any questions? So I have the Dr. Rio first and Clerk Ms. Nishi. Go ahead, Dr. Rio.
So just for clarification, these $53 million, so will they be rolling over to next year's budget? Is that how it works?
Yes, as a carryover. And then whether you just want to spend it down in next year, that's up to the board. That the board approved the budget back in June that did not spend any of the money now, except for the restricted programs. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Rio. Clerk Nishi, please.
Just one question in general comment. So the $29 million, roughly, certain percentage of that needs to be spent within the next 2 years per the restricted fund, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And the other one is a comment only. So someday I would like for this budget, this big, thick budget, to be searchable by its terms, because I know there's technology out there that can make it really readily accessible to regular people like me. So I can understand if I wanted to look for the word rental, I could look at and find that. So I'm hoping that sometime before the year end, I'd like to be able to see that.
So the forms and the software are provided by the state of California at the bottom of the book. So we'll try to work with them. If not, they have to be a third party that would do the interface and download the data and convert into a searchable form. So we will look into that.
Yeah, I'm sure there's technology.
Yes.
Anyone
it.
else? Done. Thank you, Clerk Nishi. Anyone else? Okay, go ahead. Board Member Mr. Beach.
Thank you, Madam President. Twan, what years here on the projections do the declining enrollment numbers take effect?
Next year, 22, 23.
Okay, and so that year, we look like we're going to be almost 3 million in the red, and then it gets better in 23, 24. Is that because we would be getting rid of some positions, or?
That's because of the additional increase in COLA, but that information now is old because we just got our enrollment this year as school began, and we are down another roughly 700 students. So in December, at the first interim report, you'll get another update on our 3-year projection, and that number will be, unfortunately, further in the negative because of our declining enrollment.
So both of these numbers in the red on page 40 about the 3-year projections are going to increase
It will change. Yes, it will change.
and increase.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mhm.
We're going to have to address that as a
Yeah.
board at some point, so.
Anyone
you.
else? Yeah, I just discussed with Mr. Warner about it, decline enrollment, that we are looking to see what can we do for actually after, I think we're talking about towards the end of the year, see how we can improve that, because right now it's really hard to predict due to COVID issues there. So I mean, we see the trend goes down anyway, so that's a good point, Mr. Beach. Anyone else? If none, then you'll go ahead, roll call.
Dr. Apodaca,
Yes.
Mr. Beach,
Yes.
Dr. Eugenio,
Yes.
Mr. Nishi,
Yes.
Dr. Rios, Mrs. Say,
Yes?
Mrs. Yu. Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you. And Chris, I didn't forget you, okay? I watched it. So
Thank you, Madam
anytime you
President.
have any question, any concern, please just voice out. Thank you. I appreciate. Next one, the action agenda item 4.4-8. May I have a motion to approve contract with the World United PPE LLC to conduct COVID testing service through June 30, 2022. Mr. Nguyen.
Thank you. So as you know, the state is required school district to test all employees who by October 15, who will not provide proof of fully vaccinated. So we have a plan for that. And tonight we're asking the board to approve a contract with World United PPE to provide that service to our staff and students. So this is the district plan. Right now, we are required to test all secondary athletes. So that's what we're doing right now. By October 15, we have to test all employees, again, who have not provided proof of fully vaccinated. In addition, we will test all employees and staff, all students and staff who volunteer to be vaccinated, to be tested. So I want to make sure I repeat myself. So there's a require and then there's an optional. So if you fully vaccinated, but you still want to be tested weekly, we will test you as an employee. If you're a student and your parents agree to, we will test you weekly, although we're not required to if you're not an athlete. If you're an athlete, then you have to. So there's the optional and then there's the required pool. So I want to repeat that. Right now, athletes at secondary, you require to. So we are testing you weekly. By October 15, we will test all employees who are not vaccinated or do not provide proof of vaccinations. In addition, we will test all employees who wish to be tested on weekly just because they want to, or students if they choose to. So those are optional. That's the third group. So all this will take place by October 15.
Thank you. Anyone wish to make a public comment on this agenda item, please use the raise your hand feature on Zoom at this time. Do you have any public comment on this matter?
We do, Madam President. We have Daisy Legaska. Go ahead, Daisy. This is on agenda item 4.4A, testing. Go ahead and unmute, Daisy.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can.
Okay, good evening. I just turned on my Zoom, so I don't know. I just heard about the testing. I'm just curious about that testing part. You know, you guys can test daily or twice a week or once a month. You know, the school supposed to follow the protocols, like those social distancing, those, like I read in some of the social media that the ABC is dissolving classes and mixing, like to the max number of a classroom. That is not social distancing. You can test everybody every day, every hour of the year. It's useless. Miss Sophia Te, you are a nurse practitioner. It doesn't matter. The testing doesn't matter if you guys don't observe the social distancing. In Cerritos High School, where I have children, their lunches are like so ridiculously crowded. And I wonder what happened to the other schools too. So you guys, this testing is so worthless. You guys are how many doctors in that school board? Supervisor is the superintendent, is a doctor. A doctor, a PhD means you guys are so learned, you're so smart, but you guys don't use it. There is a budget for the COVID, but where are you using those money?
3 minutes.
It's ridiculous. You guys are so good in talking about, all these protocols, all these things like this here and there. The president of the union, it's like, is the president of the union now a part of the board? That he is given so much time and for asking for bonuses again or benefits again or whatever privilege again? You guys have to listen to parents. The social distancing versus those testing is, you have to think about it. It's ridiculous. You guys have to, prove that you guys have that doctorate and nurse practitioner. Miss Sophia, I'm sure you use that, you're being a nurse practitioner when you campaign. Social distancing is very important. It's not about testing. You can test every day, as I said, every hour of the year. It's useless if you are not doing social distancing. And you know what? What about the mask? I asked a school what happened if a student's mask is soiled. There is nothing. There is no enough mask in school, in the classroom. Do we have to wait for the PTA, for the parents to donate? That's not the supposed to be the problem of the parents or the PTA. The school district, ABCUSD, is supposed to provide those things to the school. Those hand sanitizers. It's ridiculous. Testing. It's worthless. Thank you.
Thank you. We have one more public comment on this agenda item, 4.4A, testing. This is Lachelle Bangsgill Aquino.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi. I'm a parent and I just want to be clear on what are the protocols on having a student sick in the classroom, only because there is an incident today that a student was coughing and has a sore throat, but he was not sent home. So and the teacher said that there should be 4 symptoms, which is fever. What is it? If there's 4 of them, a vomiting, no, not coughing, and something else, but sore throat wasn't there. And so she did not send the student home. So I'm a little worried about that. So I just want to clear this and what are the protocols in sending a student home when they're sick? Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes public comment on this agenda item.
Thank you. Now back to our board. Any questions, any concern on this action item 4.4-8 for my colleague here? I have a Ms. Clerk Nishii.
Okay, I just
Go
have a
ahead.
few questions, nothing major. I'm still gonna be voting for it, but I just want to know what the estimated total cost of the testing will be.
So depends on the participations, I'm sorry. So if we were just to test the mandatory, and if we were to estimate that about 20%, it would be about $200,000 at most, because there's 4 layers of payment here, right? If the individual have insurance, which most of our employees do, then they would bill the insurance carrier. So there'll be no cost for us. The provider will do that. After that, the provider will try to go after CARES Act fund for that. After that, there's another grant from the county, which is the ELC grant for testing. And then after that would be the ESSER fund for the district. So there's 4 layers of fundings, and at most, assuming 20% of their staff tested, then it will be about $200,000. Now, if we were to open out, like I reported, optionally to students and staff, we don't know. We don't have that information yet. As of today, we received 150 or 250. 250 of those volunteer that would like to be tested weekly, and it'll change by the end of the month. But like I said, those are the 4 layers of the different sources that the provider can go after.
Okay, thank you for that answer. I think this is a great report. Real quick, are we currently testing at all schools, or if there is a confirmed case, do we offer the parents to take a test at the school currently? Or is that planned based on this?
So currently, we have worked with families, and most of them have had their own pediatrician, their own places. They always have the option of going to the curative testing at Cerritos High School. But in adding World United to the process, we will be able to offer a test kit that a family could take home from a school site if they wanted to enroll with World United PPE and do a test kit that way.
So if there was a situation at the school, who would actually administer that test if it was going to be administered? So actually, you're saying that curative would do it if there was a situation right now.
So if a family took a test kit, the family would administer it.
I do want to say the point of order, we're focused on the testing services to the employee and the second.
This would be just
level
in the
3.
sit-
Because this is talking about family, this is kind of out of the point of order. Just want to remind you. I
Yes.
like the questions. I mean, really, it's really good. But we do have tracing department will handle that. So I want us to stay in the focus of our agenda for today.
But I think parents would be interested to know that we're approving a contract for testing. So if parents, I think, would like to know if there's an opportunity for them, if there's an outbreak at a particular school, whether the school will offer testing.
Yeah.
And so I've heard differing things. I just want to confirm. I understand that after this vote, that should not be an issue, that we will be offering testing. That shouldn't be a problem. I just wanted to know what has happened up until this date. And I do know that the mandatory date is October 15th, but just prior to that, there are kids in school. There are some situations where we've had some positives. And so people have been calling me and asking me. So what happens
The
if,
best is appointed back to the school district because we do have tracing department, right? Handle this exposure. Am I right?
So in the cases where a student is positive, the family is usually already tested on their own and is reporting that to us. That's been our cases up to this point. As we have situations then where there's potentially exposure, those are the families that we're providing the information to on places that they are able to do testing. And so this would add an additional option to that.
oh, great,
you.
that's great.
Thank you. Okay, thanks. Any others on my colleague about this issue? I do have questions on where they go, which is the site for this testing place.
So there will be a schedule. The provider depends on the number of the individuals need to be tested. The provider would likely to have a schedule Monday through Friday, and they would visit the different sites. So there will be 30 sites, right? 30 school plus the different offices. So that's 34 total. So they would have a schedule by day, by the time. Like Monday, they would be at Aloha from 9 to 10. Depends on the number of tests there need to be. And then 10 to 11, they would be at Bragg. 11 to 12, they would be at another school. So clearly there will be a schedule by location.
So the schedule will post on the website, right? Pop up
Once
right there.
once we have that.
So when parent go in, when the student and parent family and staff should know right away. Am I correct? How we communicate with them?
Correct. Once we have the
Website? Do we
schedule.
also send email or something else to
Yeah.
approach those?
So there's two steps to this, right? Those are required to be tested. So we
Mhm,
track
yeah.
that separately, and we want to make sure that they will be tested weekly. And those are the volunteer ones. And then there'll be a schedule for both groups on where they need to go to get tested.
Okay, thank you. Oh, Mr. Beach has one question.
Tuan, I have a quick question here. I want to be very clear for our parents because it was a little confusing in the beginning. So unvaccinated employees are going to be tested weekly, and this company is going to come to all the school sites and do it personally there.
That is correct.
And then any voluntary student or teacher can get a kit. to take
Employees, not
home.
just teachers, all
Okay, so
staff.
all employees that are vaccinated that voluntarily want to take a test, or any students will get a test to take home and administer it on themselves and return it.
No, we'll test it there at the site for them too.
What did you talk about a take-home test?
So the takes home test could be if there's just at a location where it's only 3 or 4, they're smaller group, or if they miss, that they're not there that day, then we make sure they get a take home test to do it themselves. But anyone volunteer or require will be given a chance to be tested by the provider on their site on that specific time and date.
Could the parent opt for the take-home test?
Yes, oh, definitely.
Thank you.
That's always their choice.
Go ahead. Ms.
Just-
Cook, Ms. Shee.
Just one more quick question related to, once we approve this, how fast will they be on the ground? Because as you know, we have situations.
So we're still collecting data, proof of vaccinations, and the state allows us until October 15. We are trying to get everything in place by the end of the month. So by September 30th, we should have this program rolled out.
If it's possible to, do it sooner, obviously, expedited basis would be nice.
Right, but until we know who's required to be tested, and we're still collecting that data. We've started last week. We got half of our employees, right? About 1,500, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
1,500 have responded. So we'll give it another push, and we'll eventually have to go after those who have not responded. And after a while, we may have to say, then we have to assuming that you are not vaccinated. If you don't provide proof, then we'll just add them on the list of required employees to be tested.
I want to remind the staff too, because what about our board member when we go to the site visit? And, what do you do follow up with us? We had a vaccine or not have vaccine. When we go to site visit, what do we need to do? I think we also need it including us. Because we're an employee too, kind of, right?
So
I don't know.
we talking about,
I don't know.
different
Just
things, right? If
just
you visit the
assumption.
site, please check with the principal and Danielle and schedule that, and we'll make sure that everything is safe there. If you like to be tested on a weekly, we'll give you the schedule and then you know where you can go, but preferably you would go to the district office for that. If you want to be tested weekly or a location near your house, depends on, we'll
if
give you a
don't have-
schedule.
if you
But
don't
you have to
that,
give us know if you like to be tested weekly.
I like the staff focus on that to let the principal aware that.
So just one last point, the volunteer employees or students, we will not go after them if they don't show up. We will only have to go after required to those required ones. They volunteer, they say, I want to be tested, but for some reason we don't show up, we will just mark that they didn't get the test, but we will only go after those who are required to be tested to ensure compliance with state requirements.
For those required students, can they have
There's no re-
parents, I mean, the student for the sport,
Mhm.
you know, can parents sign the consent so they can do right at the day in the school?
Yeah, they have to
Parent has to
participate.
consent,
This
right?
is required.
Can do that. Okay, anything else? If not, Daniel, please roll call.
Dr. Apodaca,
Yes.
Mr. Beach,
Yes.
Dr. Eugenio,
Yes.
Mr. Nishi,
Yes.
Dr. Rios, Mrs. Say,
Yes.
Mrs. Yu. Motion passes 7-0.
Okay, next, down to board member report. Do we have any? Dr. Rios first, second VP Ms. Yu, third Mike, Dr. Eugenio, fourth Mr. Beach, I mean, not Mr. Beach, Clerk Mihi, and then the end of the Beach. Go ahead, Mr. Beach. Go ahead, Dr. Eugenio. Oh, no, Dr. Rios first.
Thank you. We don't usually respond to public comments, but sometimes we make exceptions when they raise concerns for us or we become aware of something that we find of special concern. As such is the case. I was very troubled that exceptions were made to the direction of the board of holding spots for students. It was specified that Whitney students would be given that special privilege. And why it was believed that dual immersion program students will not merit the same privilege makes me wonder the justification, and it does not surprise me that it appears as if some students are being treated differently. Unacceptable. If it is true that the dual immersion students were told that a spot would not be held, please correct the miscommunication with our dual language students and their families who opted for independent studies. And please clarify with the administrators that our dual immersion students will be given that spot immediately. I mean, unless I like my colleague's opinion, it was my understanding that this would be done for all students. No exceptions were made.
Thank you, Dr. Rio. And
Thank
Dr. Su, can you follow up and send it to our Thursday notes, please? Thank you. Next one will be Dr. Hino, right? VP, Ms. Yu, I'm sorry, then Dr. Hino. it is.
Thank
Okay,
you,
go ahead.
President Say. Thank you. Welcome back to school, everyone, to all the students, K through 12, adult school parents, grandparents, and guardians. Many have chosen in person and some online. There is no right and wrong choice, but at ABC, we are pleased to provide choices to families. And on this note, I want to take this time to acknowledge district staff, superintendent, and cabinet who work tirelessly to accommodate and meet the needs of our families and students. Numbers of students attendance constantly shifting and changing, and to match the student and teacher ratio and in compliance with the law has been an ongoing challenge at our district and at the school level too. The last 2 weeks, I was receiving phone calls and text from parents who are very, very disturbed because of the classes that had to collapse due to the student ratio. And then the few days later, there was an increase in the attendance. So it's difficult time, but I do want to acknowledge this time to thank our superintendent, Dr. Sue, who always stays calm and she does not react. My goodness, what if you reacted to the public? Goodness, really appreciate her diligent work, both during the pandemic, both virtually and in person. And just her greatest strength is just sort of weighing things out and looking at other different districts and how they do, so that when we implement it at ABC, It's because our district staff, the cabinet members, they do their homework so that we don't make any mistakes. And so these are the reason, that our district cabinet is solid. They support the principals during this difficult time. And I see a strong collaboration with each other and, support each other instead of, shifting faults and blame. It's so easy to do that because there's a, panic going on, with the Delta virus. This last minute, just in a matter of a few weeks, things change so much and culture change. But again, Dr. Su, thank you very much. Good job. And I just want to say, keep up the good work to our district staff and principals and management. And don't be wary of doing good because it makes a difference in our children's lives. Thank you very much. That is the end of my report.
Thank you, VP Mr. Yu. Thank you for listening and take action and correct. Thanks. The next one, you know what? I want to say sorry to Dr. Hinu. I have to praise Dr. Apodaca before you because he was asking to make a comment on that. So Chris, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam President.
Apodaca.
The accommodation isn't necessary, but it's appreciated. I wanted just really quick to say that the event that they had for the dedication, the ribbon cutting at Artesia High School for their stadium was phenomenal. And I'd like to thank those board members that were there, as well as Sergio Garcia and his staff that put together, quite a production to really showcase the project and the quality of work that went into installing that field and making it a reality. I'd also like to thank Misty Cota from Senator Bob Archuleta's office for being present there and for offering the resources of the senator's office. And I didn't get to do this at the last meeting because we ran late. However, I'd like to acknowledge one of our neighboring school districts had a special election, and I'd like to congratulate Dr. Robert Cancio, who is a professor as well as a Navy veteran. He was recently installed by our Congresswoman Linda Sanchez as trustee for Norwalk La Mirada, and I'd encourage our board to get to know him and to discuss what they have going on over there, as well as examine our overlapping interests that ABC has with Norwalk La Mirada. That said, I hope everyone is staying safe. I apologize, I couldn't be there. I do have some rather pressing work obligations that prevent me from being present in the district. However, for those of you who are unaware, calling in when needed and when necessary counts as me being present. And in the years that I've been on the board, I have yet to miss one single board meeting. So I appreciate the accommodation from my colleagues here on the board. And Madam President, I also appreciate you being so attentive to making sure that I can be called and heard tonight. And that concludes my report. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Apodaca. Your attendance rate is 100%. We miss you. But anyway, next one's Dr. Hinu.
Thank you, Madam President. On Wednesday, August 11th, I joined City of Artesia's Mayor Renee Trevino in delivering donated hand sanitizers to the schools of Nemus Elementary School, Burbank Elementary School, and Ross Middle School. Mayor Trevino generously donated 10 cases of hand sanitizer, each case containing 24 bottles of sanitizers. I'd like to thank Principal Jimenez, Principal Robinson, and Principal Rodriguez for accepting the donations. I'd like to thank Mayor Trevino for the donations and our very own Danielle for coordinating the deliveries. Since our last meeting ran over time, I was not able to wish our teachers and our students good luck for the upcoming school year. So with that, I'd like to wish all our teachers and our students well for the upcoming school year. Good luck on your studies, and may God bless you all and keep you all healthy. That's all.
Thank you. Clerk McKinsey.
Thank you, Madam President. So for the last time, I got to see Artesia High School and see the improvements they have based upon the BB facilities, and they're doing a great job. I remember when he first said, I don't know, he wanted to put the field out there. I thought, that's going to be kind of hard. It's not a lot of money for that. He says, it's kind of dangerous. It's not doing very well. Lo and behold, with a lot of dedication, a lot of spirit, he was able to put that through. And he's going to have a great media center. If you look at the floors that you saw, it looks like we went there same time or different times. those are great things. And I got to visit the CTE, I think at the auto shop. And that guy has a Cadillac, a late model Cadillac that they're working on. They tear it apart and they put it together. And apparently it's part of the Cerritos College. And it's really amazing how he's able to leverage all of his contacts with all the other entities that are out there. He even has an electric car, Madam President, which is
Oh, wow.
pretty, I mean, it's not the latest model. It's not it's a little bit better than a golf cart. But what I'm saying is that the CTE department isn't just trying to get them a shade tree mechanic or a shade tree welder. Welders make a lot of money. Mechanics are needing to go to college. So it's not CTE is a non-college track. They're all college track. And so hopefully we can ensure that we treat them with the same level of respect. Second part of this is public comments. I've been getting a lot of calls regarding this, and I really welcome the public comments that I've been getting from parents, many concerned parents about the COVID testing. Like, what do we do with the rainy day schedule? The nurses are definitely having some issues. They have a lot of millions of different concerns that they have to deal with, and PE teachers and CRT and all these other things that are coming out. So I'm very grateful that the public still is able to call us and let us know what they're really feeling, because that's the way we are able to be responsive to the public. We are beholden to them. We need to reflect what they want. Also with the balance of, we will never make everybody happy. We will never make everybody happy, but we need to do the best we can to have the best decision for the long run. That's what we're elected for. And finally, speaking to the parents out there, so there's a lot of opportunities, and so one of the reasons that we have a great district is great administration, great teachers, but also the big element is great parents, great community support. And I'm not just saying parents, but everybody who was a parent or has been a parent or just part of this community. And I think that's the biggest power that we have that gets us beyond all the budgeting issues that are out there. Volunteer on your PTA, please. You're going to help your own kid if you help the PTA. If you help support any school in your neighborhood, your property values will go higher. $1 spent in school is better than any dollar spent anywhere else. Support your schools, even if you don't have a kid there. I've seen grandparents support their schools. I've seen business people support their schools. Everybody can help. PTA doesn't just limited to parents. It's not just limited to teachers, not just students. It's everybody in the community. Retired people can be there, business people, everyone. And saying that, the foundation, there's something called an ABC Foundation. And I urge anybody who's listening to support that in any way. You don't have to take a board role, but work on a community committee, because they support and provide many things to all the teachers. It's one of those great organizations out there. This is my 5-second commercial to say that it's one of those things where they ask teachers, what would you love to do? This is something that the district cannot fund or is difficult for it's a different concept. And they make the teachers become entrepreneurial. They make them write a proposal for a certain amount of money, and they put the money out there exactly directly to the teachers right on the ground. If you ever want to make a change in your life, if you have a job that's great, but if you help this foundation, you will change your community for the better. I guarantee it. I truly think that if you spend just a few minutes, whatever time that you have, it doesn't require tons of money. It just requires just a little bit of time. Please try to help that foundation, because you'll help yourself and you'll help our community and you'll make yourself richer. The more you give to this foundations, PTAs in our community, the more you'll get back 1,000-fold. So that's my commercial. And to whoever's listening, please get involved. Thank you.
Thank you. Don't forget we have a great board member too. The next one will be, I think the last one now, am I right? Board member, Mr. Beach, go ahead.
Madam President, thank you for running an efficient meeting tonight.
Oh,
I
thank
I
you.
might be able to kiss the girls if I rush home. I have a lot of items, but I'm going to go fast. The first one is I wanted to say that I agree with Dr. Rios and Mrs. Salcedo that called in. I think we need to look at all of our kids going back to the schools and the programs they were in. And sounds like her kids and others might need additional supports if they're falling behind because they're not getting the same instruction in person. So I don't know what can be done with special funds that we have that have to go towards coronavirus affected students, but I think this would be a perfect example of something we should look into. I also wanted to thank the dad from the PTA dad site that talked about PTAs. Nixon has a great one. I've seen the Watchdog program there thrive, and I'd like to challenge people at any elementary school or other schools to get a PTA. It really does make the schools better. I attended a Cerritos Neighborhood Watch meeting in Zone 32. They wanted me to talk about the safe return to schools. I was happy to do that, and I'm happy to any other neighborhood watch groups, if you'd like me to come speak, to contact me. I emailed Dr. Sophia Say about this, but I think it's time to bring back the meetings in person. I think it's time for us as board members to go back up onto the dais and open the room here for parents to come in safely to speak. I think we should also keep Zoom meetings going at that point so parents can feel comfortable at home and calling in. And I realize that might be a little bit of a logistical issue, but I think it's the right thing to do for our parents. I also attended the Artesia High School stadium ribbon cutting. Wow, what a beautiful professional field. I mean, I went to San Diego State, thought we had a nice field there, but this Artesia one might actually be better than some college stadium. So great job. I hear Ryan Carey's doing an excellent job overseeing our Measure BB funds, and he may even be saving some money, which is great news for our residents. So thank you to him. I want to assure parents out there that safety is our #1 priority. It always has been. I want to thank Sophia Say for her leadership. I'm glad we have a nurse as our president during a pandemic because she really does know extra things we should do to keep our staff and students safe. I know we're short of substitutes. I've talked with people in other districts, and I think our board's probably going to have to look at that again. I know staff is aware of it, but I just wanted to mention that. Food at our schools. I don't know if there's any data on exactly what type of meals we serve. I know as a board member, I'd like to see that if possible, to see what's served every day, what the nutritional value is, just so we can take questions from parents and explain to them what it is. I mean, my girls seem to like the food just fine, but there have been some complaints. So if there's any way to get us something about the nutrition, I would appreciate that. Testing for our students, we went over that pretty thoroughly earlier, but I do think it might be time with COVID funds, especially to look at temporary nurses, either part-time or full-time, to fill in during this pandemic. I know we're hiring this company to do the testing, but they sound kind of short-staffed. And also declining enrollment. Wow, to get those numbers on Thursday and see that we're down to 18,610 students is a crushing loss over just a 2 or 3 year period, and it's going to affect our funding. I don't know if cabinet's looking at things we can do to bring some students back or different programs we can offer. But I think that's probably going to be this board's most pressing issue, is looking at this declining enrollment and figuring out what we're going to do about it. Last thing I wanted to mention here, and it's a big one, but in law enforcement, we debrief operations. So when we serve a search warrant or we do something tactical at the end, we have a debrief. And everybody there gets to say, hey, I think you went around that corner a little too fast. You put yourself in a dangerous spot. So that's what I'm used to doing. And I've been on the board only about 8 or 9 months, but I kind of wanted to debrief a few things that we've done really fast, just so we could maybe make some changes going forward. And this is totally meant to be constructive. This is not to put down anything that any of us have done, but it's just a few takeaways that I have from this year. So we've had 2 kind of major things that have happened. And one was the return to school last year, where we initially were going to go for 2 days, but then we changed to 4 days. And the second one was the independent study model, which we put into place this year. And, you know, really, I just feel that 6 days before school starts, to present an independent study model to the parents who have already decided to go back was just unacceptable. I mean, we made changes to it that the parents didn't know about if they had made the decision before. And I really feel that it would be good for us to do like an informational item to put out all the information to the parents so the board can then converse with parents, get community impact, and then we make a decision rather than the way we did it. So I know this happened over the summer. I know we had to negotiate with the union. There were a lot of factors in place. Staff did a great job, but I just think there's some takeaways and things we can learn to communicate better with parents in the community going forward. That's all, Madam President. Thank you.
Thank you, Board Member, Mr. Beacon, for your comment, and I do too. I want to say there's always room for improvement, and then one of the communication, which is one of the areas that we need to focus for this coming 2021 to 2022. I think staff were that too, due to the pandemic, sometimes really can't control. What happened today, tomorrow can change again. Staff is kind of waiting and see what the finals is they going to talk about. So it's a tough decision make that, but you are correct. And the board should know really ahead than others, but staff's working on it. Make the changes. I want to let you know that. As for open to public, I have spoke to our superintendent, see how it's set up to how we're going to make the transition move smoothly. The reason is I am where we'll let the student go back to school, and the board here should be open to public. You know, so we had a lot of tech. I think that's a technique needs like we need a big cat TV in outside waiting area because we might not open. I mean, have everyone to be here. So we're trying to work on that, the seating thing. So Dr. Su, I think we discussed with possible October. Am I right? Yeah. So we're working on that. The first meeting in October, we'll try to open to the public. We just want my board colleagues to support me and wait, give the staff to get ready. Okay. Thank you. Anything, the announcement will be next board meeting on Tuesday, September 21st, 7 p.m. in our district office boardroom. The committee meeting, legislative, gosh, I can't say anything. The policy board advisory committee will be on Wednesday, September 29th at 6:30 p.m. virtual meeting. Finance and Audit Board Advisory Committee on Thursday, September 30, 2021 at 6 o'clock virtual meeting. Do we have any second public comment, sir?
We do, Madam President. We have Daisy Legasca.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Daisy.
Hello. Again, good evening again. I just want to check, when are you guys planning to have an in-person board meeting? Because students, unvaccinated kids are already in school. But you guys are all, I assume, are all vaccinated. And why are you not having an in-person? Like, the parents will be there, not just like this in Zoom. And then I heard about, somebody mentioned about the Delta variant. I'm not sure if you guys are aware that, we don't have, in California, we don't have a Delta variant test. In any hospital, we don't have a Delta variant test. So I don't know where you guys are saying about Delta variant increasing or mentioning about Delta variant. What we have in the hospitals are COVID-19. There is no test for Delta variant, so I'm sure there is a existing Delta variant, but in California, we don't have the test. So whoever is mentioning about Delta variant, I'm not sure where you guys get the information. But as far as I know, as a frontliner, no hospital have the test yet. Maybe in Florida or in Texas or other states have, but we don't have here in California.
3 minutes.
It's not about, I'm not saying there is no Delta variant. I'm sure there is, but in California, as I said again, that there is no test. So we cannot say we have the Delta variant here because we don't have a test yet. And I just wish that next time it will going to be in person already, so we can have the chance to, ask face-to-face with the board members. Because it's been a while that we haven't seen you guys. I'm sure you missed us too. It would be nice. There will be, I'm sure, a lot of masks, and if you guys want a shields, we can. But we just have to, prove that we are vaccinated and we are ready to do in person, while the kids who are unvaccinated are in school 5 days a week, while you guys have, how many hours, and you guys don't want in person. So I hope next time you have to, guys, see you, the parents will see you at the board meeting. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you very much. The next public comment is from D. Gudino. Go ahead and unmute.
Hi there. Can you hear me?
We can.
Hi there. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'm calling in regards to exposure in school and having your student required to quarantine. I believe that they're asking for those students to be on a short-term independent study. However, if the student is healthy, how come I believe all classrooms are equipped to do virtual learning? Why cannot these students join virtually and receive at least live instruction that way, instead of being out, 7 to 10 days quarantine with just busy work? That is, especially in the high school and kids playing sports, that's going to be more and more more and more of an occurrence for these students, that they need to be receiving live instructions. We spent, I don't know how many hundreds of thousands, maybe $1 million equipping these classrooms to go virtual. It's not a long-term situation. It's, like I said, between however long they need to quarantine, but this is feasible, and independent study, busy work is not acceptable, especially at the high school level. So thank you so much.
Thank you. That concludes this agenda item.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Smith, and thank you, Mr. Nishii. May I have a motion to adjourn in the memory of Interjet, also known as Piki Uppo? Dr. Su, please. I have a motion and second first.
So moved, Apodaca.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Dr. Su?
Thank you very much, President Say. It's with great sadness that I share the sudden passing of Interjet. We call her Pinky Uppo, an adult transition teacher at Cabrillo Lane. She transferred there after being at Artesia High School, where I've known her for many years. Pinky has served our district for 27 years. She is a passionate teacher to students with severe disabilities. She was a founding member of the union partnership between the ABC Federation of Teachers and Special Education Administrators, called PROPS. It stands for Proactive Problem Solvers. During the PROPS partnership meeting, she emphasized the importance of fellowship and food. Pinky will be dearly missed by all of us. Thank you.
Thank you. All in favor, please say yes. Meeting adjourned. Thank you very much, and have a safe drive home.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, Chris.